You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network.
I'm Katrina, and I love anime.
I'm Steven, and I'm aware of anime.
But what if that affection could rub off?
Perhaps that excitement in her eyes got me curious.
I could offer up some solid anime.
I could give them a watch, just to see what all the fuss is about.
And maybe, just maybe,
I could learn to love anime too.
welcome to Inspired by a Weeaboo. Welcome back to Inspired by a Weeaboo, my little weebs. I am your host, Katrina, and with me is my husband, Steven.
Hello.
We just finished episode 3 of Fully Cooley, and what did you think?
I'm still confused. All right, so in this episode, trying to understand it, we seem to be focused on, I'm hoping I remember her name because I was trying to keep it in my head, Nina Mori.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to call her Nina. I'm assuming she has a crush on Nato.
Mm-hmm.
Or did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay,
Nato.
And we were kind of exploring kind of her feelings toward him because she's got her own baggage with her parents seem to be, I think her dad was mayor. Is that what they said? So, you know, there's a whole, I mean, they're in the spotlight and she's kind of having to deal with that. And then something about Nato, she's just kind of attracted, and she cheated her way into making him part of a Puss in Boots play in school to where she's the lead and I guess he is,
He's Puss in Boots.
So he's Puss in Boots and she's supposed to be, I don't know who in the story. I don't know how the story goes. So it was essentially a setup to make sure that they were together in the play. And for whatever reason, and I don't know where the metaphor lies here, is he grows cat ears.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it's supposed to be within the context of the Puss in Boots idea. So that's probably why that was the thing that he grew this time in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't grow any kind of monstrous creatures out of his head, but she did.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of flipped it a little bit, which was an interesting aspect. But that was after he called her out for cheating because she admitted that to him in privacy. And then they got into a fight and then he laid it all out. So she kind of had a moment. Now, explain to me as best you can, so maybe I can understand it, what triggered that in her? Like, what was the emotion she was dealing with? Was it embarrassment? Was it just rage?
I honestly think it was kind of all of her emotions coming out at once, because as you watch the episode, she's a very stoic person in the sense of you can't really get a read on her. And the most that you see with that, or the most in depth, I guess, you see with that is when they're having dinner at Nato's house and they're saying all these things about, you know, her father and how, you know, there's a scandal going on and the parents might be getting divorced, her father might be going to prison and everything else. And she's just like, you know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like, just, that's the only thing that she would say. And I think that it was that she wanted to do the play because her parents would both be there at the same time. You know,
Right.
She's just that little girl who's trying to hide everything and act like it doesn't affect her, but on the inside it does. And then when Nato called her out, you know, that she was being childish and then called her out about cheating, she just, everything came flooding out at once type thing. Like, I feel like her emotions were more uncaged than Nato's, and that's why it transferred to her.
Okay. And they really seem to be focused on her in this episode and I guess kind of trying to posit a relationship between her and Nato and maybe explain different elements. One thing I did take note of, and I guess I don't understand, is when it comes to the alien chick, I guess that's what we're going to call her, who's, again, they don't say their names enough in these shows to where I can remember them.
Well, if you pay attention, especially with Nato, they have hardly said his name because they call him Takun.
That's what the alien chick calls him. And I don't know if she's even an alien. I'm just, that's what they've kind of posited at some point, that she's alien or some kind of entity or some kind. But what's her deal with fighting these big things? Because she's all in, as soon as one of these things pop up, she's like, oh yeah, it's a fight, and she goes for it. So what is she getting out of it?
I guess you could kind of look at her as a bounty hunter. Like, these are things that she has to hunt down.
Okay.
So I guess here's one of the theories that I always had, is that basically she opened a type of portal.
Okay.
Through Nato. And she was originally looking for another person, but, obviously she didn't get him, which is what she says to the cat.
Yeah.
Who has to be more than a cat.
Clearly. He did some dancing and bouncing around in one scene. It was just really odd.
He was attacking her in that scene where he was bouncing and hitting her and everything. But she, if I'm not mistaken, unless she said it and I just missed it, but she does make, I think, a comment about a type of police force. But she's hunting something, more or less.
Okay.
And I've always, like I said, I always viewed that she basically opened a portal, and his emotions are what bring out these robots. And I feel like each different type of robot or monster you see is a different form of emotion, or even a different state of mind or something. But her mission is to destroy them.
Okay. But if they are personifications of their emotions, then why? I guess because I don't know. There's just so many elements to it that I'm just so confused about. One thing I was not confused about, and this is just kind of weird, was that Nato's father perving on the one girl while she was bathing?
No, because it never actually shows him looking in. I think it was almost because he's the one that wrote the story that kind of shone the spotlight on her father and everything. So I feel like it's that, because it was basically had an affair. And that's on top of whatever he did to, possibly go to prison. But Nato's father's the one that shone the spotlight on that. So I always kind of took it as he knew she would be alone. So maybe she wouldn't be so closed off. So he was just trying to make sure that, whether she wasn't upset with him or try to, I guess, gauge her mental state, because he acknowledges that she is a child.
Right.
But I never viewed it as perving. I viewed it as he's a very strange and very awkward freaking person.
Yeah.
But I never viewed him as being that type of person.
Now, granted, I will admit there are certain customs and elements in Japanese culture that they do that we are not accustomed to. I know that we've seen, this would seem odd to an outsider, just to kind of pull from a different movie, but I think it was in My Neighbor Totoro. There were bathing scenes with the father and his two children.
Yeah.
And again, that is common practice in that culture that we are just not accustomed to, because that's not how we do things. I mean, you even take a look at numerous films and the way their censorship is versus our censorship, and there's just different lines that they're just like, this is okay, and
Yeah.
then we're just like, oh my god, no, we can't do that. So I get that from my perspective it could seem pervy, but from their perspective it's like, no, I mean, he's not, he's
Yeah.
not doing. So I'm trying to be open-minded about that, because I understand that sometimes things can get lost in translation because we don't view things the same way they do.
Yeah.
And culturally that's a different subject. So it was a little weird, but again, I can understand that that was possibly not the intention. So
Yeah.
it was just a little weird,
No.
from where I'm sitting.
I mean, he is definitely, again, his father is so freaking weird. And there is, I don't remember which episode it is, but there is an episode where it gets really weird with his father. And I don't know, it's just a ride.
Okay.
Like, that's all I can say. It's just a ride.
So I will probably admit that after watching this episode, I may have been generous in saying that we watched half because I don't remember this one. So yeah, we probably only watched 2, and I was like, nah, I'm good. I just wasn't getting into it. So I'm still not saying that I'm not getting into it. I'm just still trying to grapple with the concepts and what they are kind of laying out, and it's. I'm trying. I really am.
No, I mean, I feel like it's like, I don't feel like it's as much as what you're probably thinking. It's like little things here and there. And again, I feel like if you can get all the way through it and you ever try watching it again, you'll pick up more as you go along.
Mm.
Like, I just feel like more pieces fall into place the more you see it.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be. I mean, there are certain things that I've watched over the years that I feel like I've come to appreciate more the more I've watched it, or there are elements that I've missed maybe when I initially watched it, and then I come back and I'm like, oh man, and I see something new. So
Yeah.
I can appreciate that, but I feel like with certain things, and I guess this is where I'm a little concerned with this and how quirky it is,
Mm-hmm.
is that if I can't connect to it through my initial watch,
Then you might not give it a chance again.
right, and then I'm just gonna miss it, and I hate that for some things, and you've mentioned numerous times that there are a lot of people who don't get it,
Mm-hmm.
and probably never will, and I don't want to be one of those people. I feel like like I mentioned in the last episode, I like things that have deeper meanings, and I can appreciate those things, but I'm missing this one wholeheartedly. And I'm really trying, but this one was a little bit more focused, so I do appreciate that. It didn't
Mhm.
seem to be bouncing around all over the place, so we were really focused on Nina and Nato and their relationship and the things she was trying to do to kind of get into his head and I guess make her move, if you will, on
Mhm.
him. I don't understand the bit about the glasses though, because she mentioned something about wearing glasses, and then she said, no, I'll wear contacts. And at the end, she was showing that she didn't have lenses in her glasses. So like,
I think it goes back to that kind of, she puts on a facade. Like, she's the class president. She's this straightforward, super rich girl, seems to have perfect vision. And then, no, you find out, she wears glasses or has the contacts. And of course, it could have been a lie because you never actually get it proven that she wears glasses. But I always took it as she actually wears glasses. But at the end, she was wearing the glasses, but still using her contacts almost as like a protection.
Gotcha. Okay. So keeping up the facade, no matter what.
That, or it could have just been that she lied.
Very true. Very true.
And, wanted to try and be normal-esque or seem like she had a flaw and she didn't, or something like that.
Right. So, I mean, because we never did prove one way or the other if the glasses had lenses at a previous moment. So
Yeah.
she could have definitely been lying at some point and just be like, no, I'm messing with you, whatever.
Yeah.
And Nato got hit by the Vespa again.
Yeah.
And plowed through.
As well as their poor teacher.
So.
And then her car got totaled.
Yeah. That and even the fight at the end, when I continue to say chaos, I mean, goddamn, it was just like boom, bang, boom, smack, smack, pow, pow, and then Nato's flying through the air. He got eaten again by the robot. Does it have a name?
Yes, they call it crap.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
I want to say it's like Kana. It's the Lord Kanta. Kanta.
Okay, so he got eaten by Kanta again. Which, why does this continue to happen?
Think of it kind of like a power-up. Mario eating a mushroom.
So he eats the person that birthed him?
If you think about it in the sense of when it's just Kanta, he's not really strong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's strong in a robot sense, but when they're together, that's where they're powerful.
Okay.
So he needs Nato to be powerful.
But he didn't fight. I mean, that was like the end of the fight when he ate him.
Yeah, because he turned into the giant gun.
Oh yeah, that's
and
true. He
blasted the
and then explode, ba 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 ba, explosions, ba ba.
Yeah.
And then the one girl, Mimi, she's just looking from a distance, going, "Ooh, wow!" Look at that. And then, like that's all we saw of her in this episode. So it was just bizarre, really bizarre show. I'm trying to grapple.
I mean, I give you props. We're
halfway through.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know what? Kudos that they didn't try to stretch this out because I don't know how much more. Because if you said, no, this goes on for 20 episodes, I'd be like, come on. Come on. I mean, 20 episodes of this is a little too much. 6 episodes, fair enough. 12 would even be, and I guess technically there's 18 now, but they're different seasons. So it's a new narrative or a new time. I don't know what the new seasons are. Do you know anything about the new season?
I don't know anything about the new season.
So I'm curious to see if they would continue with the same characters or if...
As far as I know, it does continue with the same characters because the story revolves around them.
Okay, so would it be Nato, I guess, grown a little bit, maybe?
I don't know. Let me see if I can look it up.
Because I don't want to go into too spoilery if we want to come back to that. I mean, hell, we can do it as our next season if need be. I don't care. But I don't want to jump ahead too far because I do want to kind of stay focused on this season, because if anyone out there listening is listening to me just not get it and you're with Katrina and be like, no, you just don't understand, I apologize. That's the whole purpose of the show. She gets it, I don't, and I'm sure I've done the same thing where I'm trying to get her to understand an element of something, but she's sharp. She might not act like it sometimes, and she downplays it, but she's sharp. She knows stuff. She gets things, and I give her a lot of props for that. So I don't know. I'll keep trucking on. I mean, I'm not giving up, and that's the whole purpose. Mm-hmm. You're forcing me to watch this. So I've got 3 more episodes to go through.
Yep. It might actually not have Nato in it at all, but it does have Haruko.
So some element of continuation, but not quite. So, but
that we know of.
Maybe it will help us understand her more. And see, that's another thing too. If I understand what she's up to, then maybe these elements can help me understand this show, this season. So we'll see.
Well, let's get into episode 4. And Steven, can you tell everybody where to find us?
Yes, indeed. You can find us on all podcasting platforms wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Tell all your friends who love anime to go find Inspired by Weeaboo on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those wonderful platforms that people use. And if you just want to give them a simple place to go find the podcast, tell them to go to pencilpaperproductions.com/inspired-weeaboo, and they can just follow everything there. I'll put links down below in the show notes, and it'll just make it easier for everybody.
All right, my little weebs, we'll see you next time.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.